Discovered my husband sharing a hotel room with a woman during his Vegas bowling trip, his excuses leaving me restless and questioning his intentions. My 36F husband, 42 male, is currently in Las Vegas for a national bowling tournament. He is there with his mom and her friends/folks from their bowling league. He is an avid bowler, bowls in a Tuesday night league, often in state tournaments and sometimes in national tournaments. Typically I go with and sometimes bowl myself. This year, we decided I would not go, but stay home with our 3 boys, ages 4, 8, 10, due to heat and smoke in Vegas in July. My husband and I have been married for 11 years. This is his second marriage. His first marriage failed because he walked in on his wife cheating on him with another man. I have never, not once, thought that he would ever be intimate with another woman while he was with me. He's just not that type. So, onto this trip. Typically when he goes on a trip without me, at least one a year given my job and time off requirements, he stays in a hotel room with his mom or our boys. 3 nights ago, I was on FaceTime with him while he was in his hotel room. It was really nice and he was talking about possibly taking a nap for lack of sleep. I asked if he had his room to himself, because that would have been awesome, and he said oh no? Is sharing with me. I asked him who that was, and he said something, I don't remember, aside from she. I said wait what? And then he went on to explain that he was supposed to share the room with his mom's boyfriend, but plans changed and now he is sharing the room with another woman on the trip. He told me that I played cornhole with her last month at a get-together. I reminded him who I had played cornhole with, him and a girl, but not one with the name he was giving me. I have no idea who this woman is, at which point he got very confused. He did not understand why I was upset or frustrated, so I dropped it because I did not want to deter from his time and his bowling. I know I should have asked how he would have felt if the roles were reversed, but I didn't. Partly because I didn't want to fight, we hardly ever fight, while the kids were up, and partly because I didn't want to hear him chalk it up to my imagination. I have hardly slept since that night, and my dreams have been chock full of worst case scenarios, and still I have not really brought it up again. There have been a few occasions in which he has talked about taking naps and how lame he is in Vegas. I have mentioned a few times, sort of sarcastically as a side, that he would be having more fun if he were sharing a room with me, or if I was there instead of his present company, but he has brushed it all aside. So here we are, he has spent the last 3 nights in a hotel room with a woman that is not me or his mother. Update 1. Okay, so I took some advice and grew a backbone. I texted him a little while ago instead of waiting until he got home. He and our boys are leaving for another trip tomorrow morning. I could not get the time off of work, so I wanted to make sure we had the conversation fully before he left again. Before I give the update, I wanted to make a couple of things clear. I do trust my husband. He has never shown he would be the kind of person to cheat, and that is not what truly concerned me. Even though I did have some pretty unpleasant dreams. My issue was that he was not upfront and honest with me. If I had done the same thing, he would have lost his mind, understandably. This is why I started the original post with he's just not that type. We do generally have great communication. The issue here is that I like to have this kind of conversation face to face rather than over the phone. It's just not something I like to hash out while we are not in the same space. Obviously, in this situation, I should have made the exception, and have now done so. Now, for the update, I texted him today to tell him that this situation has been bothering me for the last 3 days. I had questions and we needed to have this conversation. I asked who the woman was, how old she was and why didn't he tell me about the situation before I found out by accident. There was a mix-up with the rooms, something about someone not going so people were shuffled. He was paired with a woman about my age. He said he didn't think it would be a big deal and didn't want to inconvenience everyone else on the trip. He also said he did not want to upset me, which is why he didn't write out tell me about it. He did tell me that I never had anything to worry about and he made sure they weren't in the room alone together aside from when they were sleeping. I know, but I really do believe him on this. I was honest with him and told him that if roles were reversed, out of respect for him, I would have called him right away to make sure he was okay with it. I told him that while I trust him implicitly, I should not have found out the way that I did. And he should not have blown off my concern. I told him that the lack of upfront communication felt suspicious, regardless of intention or what actually happened. As for not upsetting me, I told him I would have understood and not been upset if he had just been honest. He has apologized profusely. I told him next time to just communicate. He is adamant there will not be a next time. So, call me naive if you want, but I am dropping it at this point. He will be home this evening and I intend on having a nice evening with him before I don't see him again for another 2 weeks. Update 2. I am not handling this as well as I thought I was. I had decided to let it go. I know he wasn't doing anything with this other woman. You can disagree and call me crazy if you'd like, but I do know that. However, as much as I have tried, I can't get past the fact that he made the decision to do something he knew I wouldn't be okay with, and not tell me about it. It all feels just so messed up. I have talked to a few of my coworkers. I don't have really any friends that aren't friends of his that I talk to on a regular basis, and there is no way I will talk to my family because that is a shitstorm I can't handle right now, and they are all shocked and more angry for me than I have let myself be. Most of them know him, The kind of person he is and what ended his first marriage. He used to work at the same company. We had less than 24 hours together before his mom and all 3 of my children took their trip to the other side of the United States. I have been sitting in my feels and will continue to do so until they get back, almost another week from now. I was on the phone with them this evening before they went to bed, and one of the first things my husband said to me was, "I'm sharing a bed with a redhead tonight," and I almost came unglued before I realized he was talking about one of our boys. We have 3 sons. After a very long pause, I said, "You better be talking about," and I was so angry I don't understand how he didn't pick up on that. Every conversation we have had has been short and to the point because I'm really just not interested in talking to him. I have been calling my oldest son, and talking with my boys instead. His mom hasn't really said much to me, which makes me think he has said something to her. Which is fine, of course, I really don't care about that. Bottom line is, I don't know what to do. It is midnight at home. I tried to go to bed 2 hours ago and just could not stop sobbing, so I got up and let it go. It felt good to get it out, but I know I need to talk to someone. I have support lines through work I can call, but won't tonight. Far too many drinks and I don't want to bring that into it as well, but I will call tomorrow. I know I should be upset and angry and not let it go. But I am afraid when I do talk to a professional they will say I'm blowing it out of proportion. I will still call, but I need to get my head straight first. He is bicycling for 7 days, over 400 miles, so as much as I want to tear him a new one right now, especially after his completely insensitive and clueless joke this evening, I have not. Because I want him home safe and sound. Regardless of my feelings in this moment, the most important thing is that my children's dad comes home safe so we can hash this out at least in the same city and not while he is 1,000 miles away. With his mom. And my children. Oop, it sure does feel that way right now. Update 3. I am sorry it has been a bit since I have updated, things have been a lot. I am also sorry this post is very long. My family came home a day early, so I took 2 extra days off of work to see them and figure things out with my husband. After we had unloaded and put everything away, we had dinner and watched a show. After putting the boys to bed, my husband and I went to our room. It was pretty clear he thought he was going to get lucky, because he was very confused when I turned the light on. I told him that I had questions and I needed him to answer them. He was hesitant but agreed. I asked him who this woman is, how old and is she married. I still don't know who she is, but he did confirm she is younger than me, and not married. I then asked who made the decision he would be sharing a room with her. He said that his mom said it would be really great if they shared so she could spend the 3 nights with her boyfriend/not boyfriend. I asked him why he didn't tell me about it. He said he was just so tired and had such a long day he didn't think about it. Conflicting with his earlier, "I didn't want to upset you." He said that he didn't think I would ever question his intentions, so why would he think he would have to tell me? I told him it wasn't about questioning his intentions or fidelity, it's that what they did was completely inappropriate and disrespectful to me and our marriage. And at the absolute very least, he should have sent me a quick text explaining the situation. I also told him that his mom is not always right. He apologized profusely, said he shouldn't have put his mom before me, he didn't think it would be a thing because he would never try to hurt me and he thought I knew that. All the things. And we honestly talked it out and worked through things for a solid few hours. We came to a really good place and connected for the first time in a long while. Then he went to work the next day, which hurt because I didn't really have the time to be calling in. I am severely behind at work, but I did anyway because I wanted to do the right thing for us and to take care of us. But because he just spent 2 weeks going all over the country doing something super fun and now he is super behind in his job, he couldn't afford to take any more time off. So that really hurt, but I let it go because he really was behind and I at least had the boys that I got to catch up with. That day my mom called to see what we were doing for my birthday, which was 2 days away. I had honestly forgotten about it with everything, so I told her I didn't know and asked if my husband had called her. She said he had not. So I told her I would let her know when we came up with a plan. That night, I asked him if he had a plan, and he said, "Oh, I don't know, what do you want to do?" And that really hurt, but I let it go because we have had so much going on. I told him it would be great if we had a barbecue and he invited people and got the groceries and he agreed. I specifically asked if he would call my mom. He did get some of the groceries, but not all of them. And he did surprise me with a cake. But that was it. I ended up inviting everyone last minute, having to apologize along the way, and had to go to the store twice to get the rest of the things we needed. At the party, he started showing our friends the pictures from his trip, pictures I haven't even seen yet. I was so mad, upset, frustrated. He didn't catch on, so then it came time for gifts. His was a card game and a back rub. I felt like I was just slapped in the face. To be clear, I don't place a high value on gifts. If you get me something great, if you don't, that's fine. But he didn't get me anything for Mother's Day, but I got him a whole slew of things for Father's Day for his trip and an Xbox game he wanted. I also planned each of those days by myself, and he just went to the other side of the country, and all he thought to grab for me was a card game? I didn't want to fight in front of our friends, so I let it be. I didn't really expect more than that anyway, but it still hurt. Then I went back to work and things were meh. Anything he did irritated me. Anything his mom did irritated me. I was getting so frustrated and sad and angry and just not myself. Then I had a medical issue, something that pokes its little head back up every 5 years like clockwork, but I had been ignoring because of everything going on. Come back and I went to our urgent care to take care of it. But I had to take care of all sorts of things first so that me going to the doctor didn't hamper my husband's day, so I was really irritated in the morning. It didn't help that his mom came over and I just can't handle her right now. It also didn't help that he told me that morning about all the plans he had come up with for our son's birthday in a few weeks. I was mad at myself for being upset. I should be stoked my husband is thinking about our son and wanting to give him a great birthday party, but I was so deflated and sad and angry in that moment. But he had to go to work, so I left it alone. So before I went, I sent him a text apologizing for being irritated. I told him that I'm not in a good place mentally or physically and I'm really struggling. He asked how he could help, and I responded that I really didn't know. And then I saw the doctor and he referred me to surgery. This will be the third time I have had surgery for this. I was so frustrated and sad and hurt, I decided to just put it all out there. And since he can't seem to find the time to actually talk to me, I texted him a novel, laying out everything that is on my mind. The trip, my birthday, him not taking time, my son's birthday, all of it. After an hour he had not responded, so I sent him another text saying that maybe he could just tell me I'm not crazy and we will get through this together, or something like that at least. He responded to that saying that he loves me and has lots to say but can't say it over the phone. So then I went to work and did the things. I felt a little better. He didn't discredit all of my frustrations, so things were okay. That night he called to tell me he loved me and was going to take the next day off to spend with me. It was also my day off. I was pretty darn stoked. The next day I asked him what were the things he wanted to say. And he said he didn't want to say it in front of the kids. So then that night I asked him again, and he said that we have been having such a great day, he didn't want to ruin it and me get all emotional, so he wasn't going to say it then. I felt like I had just been punched in the gut. So wait, you have been so nice since I texted you, but now I'm going to be sad and upset? What is going on? It is now the next day, and I just asked him again. He completely blew me off and went to town to pick up our son from camp. I am at a loss. I don't know what to do. I can only ask him to talk to me so many times. He doesn't share his thoughts or emotions often, but I would think he would do it now, right? I don't know what to do. Update 4. I apologize for the late update. My health took a pretty drastic turn for the worse for a minute. But no worries, all is good now. And I had a really good talk with my doctor about putting myself first, and she is getting me in touch with a counselor. Now, for the update, it's barely an update, and for that I'm sorry. When I finally did get him to tell me what he wanted to say, he ended up saying it in front of the boys anyway. He only brought up 2 things I had talked about in the novel I had sent him. The first was that I was going to look for a counselor. He said he loved that idea and that it really helped him when he was talking to one. Then he brought up that I had mentioned how much weight I have gained since the birth of our last child. He said that he still finds me crazy attractive, as should be evident by the fact that he still shows up in bed. Then he started talking about what I shouldn't be doing if I wanted to lose weight, and apologizing for the fact that he and the boys have ridiculous metabolisms and don't have to worry about it. I asked him to stop trying to give me weight loss advice. That wasn't the point of me telling him. I asked if there was anything else he wanted to say and he said no. Just those 2 things. So at this point this is where I am at. My husband did not cheat on me. I do know this is true. I am still not in a good place because of so many things happening at once, so I am seeking help. Now on to second story. Moved out without notice due to safety concerns after my roommate's mental health spiraled, now facing unexpected debts and blame. I, 29, was renting an apartment with my friend Jess, 33F, from October 2023 to October 2024. We had been very excited to move in together and really enjoyed living together for the first few months. Over those first few months, I was introduced to a friend of Jess, Ash, 28NB. Jess told us that she really liked our friendship and she encouraged us to date, stating that we would be a cute couple. In Mar 2024 I double-checked with Jess that it was okay and I began going on dates with Ash. However, almost immediately it became a problem for Jess. No matter how much Ash and I prioritized spending time with Jess one-on-one, giving her undivided attention, spending time as a group, and always making sure we planned the time Ash would be over at the apartment to suit Jess, it created a huge rift in our friendship. Jess is diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, so Ash and I went to great lengths to listen to Jess' therapist and follow their advice to make it as easy for Jess as possible. It didn't help. Jess became extremely depressed and unpredictable and I had to interfere and monitor her often. Any time Ash came over, even though it was agreed upon, Jess would have meltdowns and scream at us and slam the door or leave in a dramatic way. She was even hallucinating and would yell at us in the middle of the night accusing us of being too loud, red spicy time, even if we were literally asleep or just watching TV. This left me feeling unsafe/uncomfortable in my apartment. In June, I started spending more and more time at my parents' or at Ash's house. Especially on days I didn't work. I still tried to keep in touch with Jess and go see her often, and I never tried to shame her or blame her for any of this. I understand that her trauma and mental health are not her fault. I am also disabled, which Jess knew before we moved in together. I had a job that was very good for me and extremely consistent. However, in August I had an incident related to my disability which left me in the hospital for 3 weeks, and afterwards my doctors told me I am no longer able to work at all. So I ended my employment and applied for state and federal disability income. I used my savings to pay rent in July and August, but I had no income until the disability cleared after that. I told Jess in July that I would not be coming back to the apartment except to move out my things, that I would do my best to pay my rent in September and October, but if it ended up that I couldn't, that I would accept responsibility for the debt when our lease ended. I also know enough about our local laws to know she couldn't be evicted before our lease ended even if I didn't pay because of the amount of time. I kept in touch and gave her updates about my health and the status of my disability income throughout this time to keep her in the loop and make sure she had all the information I had. I told her in August I would not renew the lease, and in September I gave my intent to vacate to the apartment, 2 weeks before it was due. Jess decided to not vacate and instead tried to find a new roommate for a new lease in the same unit. However, Jess was unable to find a roommate and ended up having to vacate anyway, without having given proper notice. I was unable to pay for both those months. My state benefits didn't start until November and I'm still waiting for federal benefits, so when our lease ended I went to sign a contract with the apartment relieving Jess from the debt. But I found out the debt was much higher than what I owed. I should have owed $2400 in the office said the debt was closer $3,600. The apartment printed a ledger of our payment history showing that Jess never paid her rent in October. Additionally, the apartment informed me that because we both didn't give notice on time that they will be doubling our debt. They said their lawyers have all the paperwork now and I can discuss it with the lawyers once they contact me. Until then there's nothing else I can do. They even think the lawyers can undo the doubled fee because of my disability status, but I have to wait until the lawyers reach out to me to know for sure. So, I asked Jess to meet me because I'm not willing to pay her unpaid rent, nor am I willing to pay the entirety of the doubled debt because she is the one who didn't turn in notice. I told her I would work to get the doubled fee cancelled, but we needed to agree on the debt owed by each of us, and I told her if they still double it that I would work with her so she doesn't get stuck with a huge bill, but that I shouldn't be responsible for the whole thing either. When we met, Jess told me that I abandoned her and I wasn't taking responsibility for anything and that I should pay the entire bill because it's my fault. I told her I felt responsible for my debt only and that I gave her ample communication throughout these situations. Now she's telling me that I screwed her over and that I'm a bad person. I admit, I lost my temper and said things I regret, including that I didn't abandon her, and that she drove me out of my home and my disability made it easier to stay away. I do not think I should have said that. I know that I lost control of myself in this moment. My parents and my partner are telling me that I should only pay my share of the debt and try to cancel the doubled fee, but if I can't cancel it that I shouldn't try to share that debt with her. They believe she needs to see that her actions have consequences, but I feel that sticking her a multi-$1,000 bill will financially ruin her. If I only pay for the rent I owed, she'd be left paying $5K if they don't drop the doubling of the debt. Update 1. About a month ago I posted about a situation with my former roommate, Jess. If you're lacking context, please go back and read the original. It is still up and accessible. I will add some information that I had to repeat multiple times in the comments of the last one before we dive in. 1. I provided formal notice to vacate via email to the apartment directly 2 weeks before notice was due. I thought I had made this clear in the original post, but I obviously hadn't considering how many people asked. 2. I'm not posting this story as a space to hate on or belittle people with BPD. I shared Jess' diagnosis for context, but if you're seeking a place to rag on folks, please don't do it here. 3. I still do not have federal benefits. Only state, and my state benefits are less than $500 per month. 4. I have my own legal team both for my SSI/SSDI application and separately for my stuff with the apartment. Now on to the update. Last I posted, I was waiting for communication from the apartment's legal team to understand what could be done. Last week, I received communication from their property management company directly, instead. They provided me a ledger of the debt and added fees. I worked with my legal team and we were able to fight them into removing the doubled charges. They have, however, added several cleaning fees, carpet replacement fees, trash removal fees, etc. My parents and I had gone to the apartment the last day of our lease and cleaned it very thoroughly, so I requested photographs of the apartment upon their entry. It would appear, based on those photographs, that Jess had entered the unit after we left and damaged the unit pretty severely. This would have happened before I even tried to talk to her about how to split the debts. I went over everything with my lawyers and have informed the apartment the total share I'm willing to pay. Including my unpaid rent, some admin fees, and a few other minor things. It's roughly $2,600. They said they understand, but they have no way of enforcing who pays what. I said I understand that completely and will work within the bounds of the system. They helped me set up a payment plan that works with my minimal income while I'm only receiving state disability benefits. I have emailed Jess the ledger I received, just in case she hasn't also been notified, and broke down item by item what share I would pay. And what balance that left her at the end of it all, about $2,500. Unfortunately, if she refuses to pay, my lawyers have advised that I will have to pursue it in civil court. But I have more than enough documented history. That's all for now. I'll update again if anything interesting happens.